and welcome to the Tom Baker Show. This is the show where we never know where we're going from one week to the next, but we have a lot of fun doing it. We hope you enjoy it as well. This week's show, as always, being powered by Miller Tech Energy. Look here, if you have an RV or a golf cart or a boat, or you just like living the off-grid lifestyle, or you need a battery to power things in your personal pit area, that would be the campground at most racetracks, you need to know about Miller Tech. They're an Amish-owned company, and their batteries all come with a 10-year no-hassle warranty. Where else are you going to find a battery that comes with a 10-year no-hassle warranty? So check them out. MillerTechEnergy.com is their website. You can get a 10% discount on your purchase if you use the code NASCAR10. And by the way, Miller Tech sponsors Noah Gragson in the Cup Series, which means they are ultra cool. And with that, we continue with this show. Jacob Seelman joins me, as always, the editor of Steering Wheel Nation, SWN Media for short. And boy, Jacob, I'll tell you what, our Power Performance Award that Miller Tech has sponsored for us is really an interesting situation this weekend, I feel like, because my gosh, we've got a 65-year-old, we've got a drag racer, we've got an IndyCar racer, and we've got a darn good sprint car racer.
Well, yes, to all of that. That's all true. Now, however, I will say, I resent your remarks slightly about not knowing where we're going, because I know where we're going. I'm the one that kind of drew the roadmap here. So
well, I helped you, but
I'll keep you straight. Don't worry, you're not going to get lost. It's okay.
That's no fun. Keeping me straight, no fun. Come on, you know that by now.
Our Performance Award nominees, though, you are correct. We have, for our 4 nominees this week, as you mentioned, a drag racer in Sean Langdon, who won for the second time in a row in the NHRA's Top Fuel class. He won Route 66 Dragway in Joliet, Illinois. That would be near Chicago, for those who don't know. Alex Palou, who won the pole for the Indianapolis 500 for the second time in 4 years. He's kind of won just about everything in IndyCar over the past 4 years, let's just be honest. We have 2 sprint car racers, one of whom you know, one of whom you probably don't, but you should. Aaron Reitzel, you probably know him. He ran 4 races in 5 days a weekend ago and won 2 of them that banked him $50,000. Oh, by the way. And the sprint car racer that you probably don't know, but you should, 64-year-old Bob Felmley, who is a TA Posse member, not one that's necessarily well-known, but Bob has run a sprint car off and on for probably 40 years plus now, and won a 410 sprint car race over the weekend at Tri-City Raceway Park. I just think that's cool. Now, that being said, Power Performance Award, you get cool factor, you get power performances across the board, and I'm curious, Tom, where are you starting with this?
Well, look, I guess this one for me is really difficult. And the reason why is because it depends on your point of view, right? Sometimes there's just an obvious winner. Last weekend, yep. Caden Honeycutt was an obvious choice. This week, I feel like you've got 4 really worthy candidates, but one of them, for me, it becomes a little bit more about the uniqueness of the achievement and the time and place in which it happened. And that, for me, is Bob Felmley at 64 years old, winning a 410 sprint car race at Tri-City Raceway Park. Now, and here's my simple argument for this. When you get to be 64, could you imagine yourself driving a 410 sprint car for 5 laps at speed around that racetrack, let alone winning a race against about 20 or 30 other cars? I know I can't, and I'm getting close to 64.
I wasn't going to date you, so I'm glad you
Feel
did it to
free.
yourself. So
I'm 6 years away.
are we calling this? Are we calling your vote one for the old guys? Then is that what we're doing here?
I prefer experienced and addicted because if you're 64 and you're still running 410 sprints, you're addicted.
Sammy Swindell would like a word at 71.
But I'm sure he would say he's still addicted, or otherwise he wouldn't still be doing it at 71, right? So
absolutely,
I'm voting for Bob Felmley. I don't know where you're going with it.
I'm going the other way. In doing my research, I found out a lot of things about Bob Felmley, and note, I'm a sprint car aficionado. I love the discipline. I love the sport. I did not know a lot about Bob Felmley, admittedly, going into this week's Power Performance Award vote. Like I said, he's not a well-known PA Posse driver. Never won an outlaw race. He did win an All-Star Circuit of Champions race back in the day, which was, of course, the regional tour on the same power level of the Outlaws at that time, and has revived, but that's a concept for another day. I'm going the other side of the sprint car world, though, in this particular vote, because I don't care who you are. It's tough enough to run 410 sprint car races in a span of 5 days, let alone win 2 of them and not finish worse than 4th in any of them. And for me, Aaron Reitzel is that guy right now. And he could easily, if 1 or 2 things break his way a little bit differently in either Friday or Saturday, his races, particularly Friday at Eldora, Reitzel could have easily won 3 in a row of those 4, and arguably maybe should have won the Kaufman Classic at Port Royal and just came up 1 spot short. So no, for me, Power Performance Award in this case is Aaron Reitzel. That's my vote.
Okay, well, we have a tie here.
We do.
So then, of course, we have to consider who our fans voted for. And so when you look at the fan vote, how many fans voted for each of our 2 candidates, and Aaron Reitzel would get the nod. So much to my disappointment, Bob Felmley is not the Power Performer of the Week, although I'm going to give him a very strong honorary mention and an open invite to be on this show at any time if he would like to appear, because I'd love to interview him and know more about him and be able to talk to him about what it's like to run a 410 sprint car at 64 years old.
Are you brave enough to at least get it? They do have the 2-seater ride-along sprint cars. Are you brave enough to do that one day?
All day long. Bring it on. Anywhere, anytime. Bring it on. I'm in. I won't drive it because, I value living. But I would gladly do a 2-seater ride in a sprint car. Absolutely.
We just need to put you with somebody who really knows what they're doing and scare the bejeepers out of you just a little bit.
I don't want somebody to putt. If I'm going to invest the time and effort to go out there, that's what I want. I want somebody to scare the snot out of me. Put Kyle Larson in the seat. Let's go.
There you go. Okay. Bullet number 2 on our starting line tonight, our first full discussion topic here. We had Indy 500 qualifying. I'm a little sad about this because unlike most years when there's a worry of somebody going home, we didn't have that problem this year, and that is very, very disappointing when you only have 33 cars for 33 spots in the greatest race in the world. Has Indy 500 qualifying lost its luster officially now? I know there's been a few years here of late, Tom, where we've had more than 33 entries, but when you have no bump day, I feel like it cheapens this. The fastest 33 shouldn't be the only 33, in my opinion. Are you on the same boat here?
Well, okay, so my first reaction was simply to say yes and then say next topic, but I will provide a little bit.
No fun. I was going to say that's no fun. We're on TV.
because it's that simple for me, really. But here's the thing with this. Yesterday or the other day when all that was on, I had a choice, right? We all did. We had Indy 500 qualifying, and at the same time we had the All-Star race for NASCAR for the Cup Series. So my decision was, for the first time ever that I can remember, to not watch IndyCar qualifying, to watch the NASCAR All-Star race instead, for the simple reason there was no drama. There was no chance that anybody wasn't going to make the field. And I know that, the poll is meaningful, and I'm sure there are tons of perks for the driver and the team and all of that, right? But as it worked out, I got the best of both worlds, because I got to watch the NASCAR All-Star race and then get back to IndyCar qualifying in time to see the Fast Six, which really for me was the only thing I cared about. So, which was very dramatic, honestly. And, I did get caught up in that a little bit. So I was happy I got to see it. But the part of the Indy 500 that was always the prestige of making it, and the mystique and all of the innovation and the different concepts and ideas that you get. And now we've got barely enough cars to fill the field. They're all the same. It certainly doesn't diminish the race for me at all, but qualifying is just sort of, who really cares where everybody starts? It's a 500-mile race.
And if you have the speed, you're going to be up front contending at some point during the 500. Yeah. That seems to be pretty much how this goes, especially when you consider the last few years between the draft and everything else. We've had 14, 15, some years close to half the field lead a lap in this thing.
Yeah, that's so, you just sort of see it plays out that way. So at this point, qualifying for me doesn't have nearly the the excitement and the spirit that it used to. And I think the other thing that's missing is when you know from the start you're going to be in the show, there is that tendency to play it just a little bit safer. And I don't know. I don't think there's as much drama. On the other hand, like I said, I really enjoyed the Fast Six, but I'm glad that I didn't have to sit through the whole first round, then the 12, and then, it borders on a bit much at this point. When everybody's going to make the show anyway, just take the top six, do the Fast Six, and be done with it.
Yeah, I go back to how I worded it a couple minutes ago. The fastest 33 being the only 33 drives a stake through my heart as a fan just a little bit, because I grew up, and obviously you can say you truly grew up in the heyday of 40, 45, 50 plus entries for this race, where there were some years where you could have as many drivers miss the show or close to it as drivers who made the show. And we just don't have that anymore, and probably never will again, in an era of, manufacturer engine leases and Honda and Chevy not wanting to pony up and have engines for whoever wants to run and try to be a part of this thing. And that's just that's a shame. The Indy 500 should be, in a way, the field of dreams for that discipline of racing, because making the event should mean not necessarily as much as winning it, but it should mean a hell of a lot. Let's just be honest here. And it doesn't this year, because everybody that started on the property is going to make the show. And I'll go one step further on this, Tom, real quick, and draw into it Catherine Legg's attempt of the double this year. And there's no drama with that other than, is she going to make it to Charlotte in time? And how far is she going to get in both races? Because she's locked into the 500. We already knew that, only 33 cars. She's locked into the 600, doesn't even have to worry about that because there's only 39 cars entered for a possible 40 spots. So there's even no drama there in NASCAR land these days. So and it's not that it's not still an incredible feat. It is, but a lot of the past doubles, you had to worry about whether you were going to make one or both races. And you don't even have that.
Did you really? I mean, did Kyle Larson worry about qualifying for the Indy 500? No, he certainly didn't worry about the Coke 600.
No. I go back to. I was going to say I go back to the likes of. Well, keep in mind that was not necessarily prime Tony Stewart in NASCAR.
Yeah, but it was prime Tony Stewart in IndyCar. I mean, there was no way he wasn't going to make the race. I don't think any of them. John Andretti, maybe, but Danica, possibly. But I mean,
Danica never did it. Remember, Danica never did it.
That's right. She never tried the double to begin with. You're right about that. So I mean, NASCAR has had, basically the big guys are locked in for a long time now. That's not new. I don't think it diminishes Catherine Legg's attempt at all. I think the whole point of that attempt is to complete both races. So whether you had to make it or not, in fact, I'm in this case, I guess for Catherine, I'm happy that she didn't have a risk of missing Indy.
That's fair.
Or Cup, because now she can just focus on getting through both races.
Yeah.
And I've talked to several people about this, Jacob, and honestly, I'm really disappointed that people are poo-pooing this because it's Catherine Legg and she's got a back marker Cup ride and an IndyCar ride that's probably not going to compete for the win, because the whole point of the double, it's like running a marathon. Only one person wins it. But doesn't.
The whole point is getting to the end,
right? Yep. Like she would be the first woman in history to complete this, or she's the first one to do it. So, at this point, this is history, and it's inspiring to other women that it can be done. I think it's great, and at 45 years old, we have to keep that in mind. She's 45. We need to appreciate this for the physical, athletic achievement that it is, and not just make success about winning, or the whole point of what you're doing with the double is it's an endurance test.
Yeah.
And I think for a female, it's even more of an endurance test than it would be for a male who's in tip-top shape. So I think this is historic, and I love seeing it. And so for me, this is really about completing it, or at least making a good share of both races. I hope she gets through them both, because I'm not sure we're ever going to see another female, or at least not for a long time, who will attempt this.
For sure. I agree with you on that. Last bullet, and I'll start with the Sealman stat of the week on this one, because Denny Hamlin winning the NASCAR All-Star race at Dover Motor Speedway made him not only the third driver to win an All-Star race at multiple racetracks, joining Joey Logano and Chase Elliott, he also tied two Hall of Famers in Mark Martin and Terry Labonte for the longest duration between All-Star victories. 11 years between his first one in 2015 and his second one in 2026. That being said, I was not a fan of this All-Star race at all, one iota. I feel like we've lost the plot. And I don't know, Tom, will the All-Star race ever find the plot again? I want this race to matter, and I don't know it's going to matter.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think it's mattered for a long, long time. I think as we got into the 2000s, and we started messing with the format and making it longer and doing all the wheel spins and whatever else we did, I think it just took away from what the event was intended to be, which is one hot night in Charlotte. And we keep moving it around I don't understand why NASCAR wants to mess with things that are working. It's like, how many things can we break that are not broken? Like, so to me, was it a good race? Well, I mean, once you got beyond the 2 days of thunder wrecks in the first segment, I suppose it was okay. But you know, I don't know. I think the higher horsepower package, I think what we learned, I'll give you the positive, is that the higher horsepower package makes Dover better.
Yes.
So as an experiment for that, I guess it was okay. You had maybe 50,000 people there, which is probably about what I'd expect. You know, for Dover, for just the All-Star race, basically. You know, why not? What's wrong with just bringing it home to Charlotte, going back to running it the week before, have a whole week of activities throughout Charlotte, which they already do. Just expand that, give people a reason to come for a week to Charlotte, give the drivers and teams 2 weeks at home like they always had, and let's go back to running it on Saturday night under the lights. Not Sunday, Saturday night under the lights. Oh, I'm sorry, it'll hurt the short tracks in the area. Let them take a week off. I mean, there's plenty of weeks to race in the North Carolina area because the weather allows it. So take that Saturday night off and everybody go to Charlotte for the All-Star race. I mean, I don't know why we have to always mess things up. You know, we did the same thing with the Clash, and now we don't know how to fix that either. It's like, you know, just go back. Sometimes going backwards is a good idea. Go back to what it should be, and let's just run the event and go back to the original short format. Make it a dash race.
Thank you. Because
you're welcome.
This Dover All-Star race was way too long. It drug out way too far. The format was completely awful. And you had two drivers who were locked in that got crashed out and couldn't even run for $1 million, which in any other All-Star race would never happen. What are we doing, y'all?
I agree.
No, this was the. I love Dover. Don't get me wrong. I love the Monster Mile. Some of the racing there over the years has been really good, but in terms of all-star races, this was embarrassing on a few different levels, and it just. I watched enough of it to know what was going on, and that was about it, honestly. Anybody who knows me knows I would hardly never say, but I could take that or leave it, and I left most of it.
I will be honest enough to say that I think next year, if I were NASCAR, and I'm probably going to get some mail from folks for this, but that's okay. It's fine. You know, at the SWN Tom on Twitter, and X, whatever it's called this week. Send me the DM if you want to, but here goes. Okay. Next year for 2027, All-Star race comes back to Charlotte. Give Dover back a points race and take away the spring Bristol race. As much as I hate saying that, Bristol right now is just not Bristol. It hasn't been for years and years since they completely messed up the racetrack. It's never come back the way it should. It's not drawing a big crowd. It's not drawing great ratings. The racing there is not great. Take one show, the spring show, away from Bristol, give it to Dover, and move the All-Star race back to Charlotte where it belongs. And
I couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. Well, this is the next thing I'm going to say. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the America's Racers segment is next. And man, we got some stuff to talk about still coming on the show. Stay with us.
MillerTech builds lithium batteries for RVs, golf carts, boats, and off-grid life. Reliable power, long lifespan, and a 10-year warranty. That's why I trust MillerTech. MillerTech, powering your adventure.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the show. It's time for our America's Racers segment. Hey, Jacob, I got a great idea. Let's race too.
Yes, it was a great idea. So much so that Eldora Speedway did it this past weekend. Yes, it was. I love this now in its 8th year. I love when we get the World of Outlaws Premier Winged 410 series. Together with USAC, the premier non-winged 410 sprint car series, at the same track on the same night for 2 nights for a weekend. It's just a great fan ticket. I wish we would do more of this at a couple other big name venues, because I feel like it would be really taken too well. Yeah, it is. It's just a brilliant opportunity for fans to see the best of both worlds for a night or 2 nights, depending on what you want to do. In this case, we had a lot of big name winners over the course of the weekend. On the winged side with the Outlaws, you had Rico Abreu winning his first race at his boss's track in his boss's car, not his first race at Eldora, but his first time winning in a TSR car at Tony's track. You had Logan Schuchart and Shark Racing, more on that in a minute, win the Saturday show. And you had the defending USAC sprint car champ Kyle Cummins and a non-winged and winged ace in Brady Bacon win the Saturday USAC feature, and dang near won the Outlaws feature too before Logan had his say in this. I want to talk about the Saturday Outlaws race first, Tom. Did it tug at your heartstrings like it did mine? Because my gosh, for them to win the first time since Bobby Allen's passing last October, for Logan to break a winless drought of basically a full calendar year, you have to start to wonder after a while as a driver. Drivers will tell you after a while you wonder if it's ever going to happen again. It happened for Logan, and my gosh, I've never heard him that close to tears in victory lane, other than maybe when he won the Eldora Million.
Yeah, that was such a poignant moment for so many reasons, wasn't it? I mean, it was just a couple of weeks ago that we talked about the fact that the 1S car was going to be parked for a little bit.
The 1A, you mean?
1A, sorry. Was going to be parked for a little bit because, they just needed more time, right? Just needed more time. Yeah. And, now to have Logan go out and win, especially in that scenario, that stage is amazing. And it was really, sometimes things happen for very special reasons. And I think of all the races I've watched this year from a sprint car standpoint, that's the one I probably, even as we go forward at the end of the year, that's going to be one that I'm going to be looking at when we start talking about what was your favorite race of the year or what was the most impactful race of the year. That was awesome, and I couldn't be happier for them.
For sure. Brady Bacon, as we mentioned, won the Saturday USAC race, finished 3rd after leading half the race on the Outlaws side, one of his better World of Outlaws showings ever. I really wanted to see it. Up until it was Logan that got there, I was really hoping that Brady was going to pull off the sweep just to prove that, yes, this can be done. You can be good at both winged and non-winged disciplines, and Brady's been proof of that over the years. I feel like one of the better ones to do both. And in that vein, Tom, I already vote yes. Do you think that the Outlaws and USAC should try to take this kind of a ticket to other markets, to Pennsylvania maybe, to Iowa, to California towards
North
the end
Carolina,
of the year?
please. Charlotte.
Charlotte? Ooh,
Charlotte.
that would be fun. That would
It's
be
in our
really fun.
backyard, that's why.
It is. That's true.
Yes,
Well,
we
but
need
also
more of
because I
those.
think USAC at the dirt track at Charlotte would be
Oh
wild.
my gosh, it surely would. And you know what? This is the type of show in 2026 that works. Fans want more. You know, they want to see more of these series run together. NASCAR and IndyCar at Phoenix. It was a great weekend, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think we need more of that. And I think USAC benefits greatly from it, to be honest. Even maybe more so than, you know, the World of Outlaws. But certainly, you know, anytime you get wing and non-wing together, you have the chance to get a Brady Bacon to prove how athletic and versatile he is. To I'm going to keep saying athletic about race car drivers. I'm sorry.
Yes.
But you know, just prove how really versatile he is. Because that almost was something that is it. I'm not going to say it's impossible to do, but certainly you don't see it happen very often. But you don't also see the scenario for it. But you're right. He's probably one of the top 3 most versatile racers between wing and non-wing, and it wasn't a surprise to me that he almost won them both.
For sure. We've got a couple America's Racer spotlights in this segment before we take our second break. The first is money, money, money. Chase Dietz banking $16,000 over the weekend. I was bummed that the rain pushed the Keith Kaufman Classic onto Let's Race 2 weekend because I hated to see guys like Reitzel and Dason Pursley and Gio Selzy have to leave Eldora to go run this race, but they did. And Chase Dietz, a PA Posse regular, still beat them all. He's won, I want to say we're at like 5 of his last 9 or 5 of his last 10 410 sprint car races overall. Are we taking him seriously? Because I know a lot of fans outside the East Coast maybe don't know Chase, but he's always been good in a lot of these big time races, and I feel like he's proven it this year at a young age. He's still only in his 20s.
And that's hard to believe too, because when you watch him, I feel like he's about 40. You know, it's how can you not take him seriously? Who isn't taking him seriously? I realize he probably doesn't have the visibility that others do, but I think anybody who's familiar with sprint car racing knows that Chase Dietz has a capability of winning on any given night, and I think it's great. This is what's beautiful about sprint cars is you can go somewhere, anywhere in the country, and there's always at least a few locals that can race with these big guns and beat them, and that makes it a whole lot of fun.
Yes, it does. I'm gonna go slightly out of order on my sheet here. Canada A, because we had the ISMA Super Modified, ISMA MSS Super Modified opener at Flamborough Speedway over the weekend. 10 grand to the winner. Trent Stevens won it. Tyler Schulich went 12th to 2nd, but I feel like the only thing everybody's talking about is poor Tyler Thompson going end over end about 5 times, flipping that car in a demolition style crash. I'm thankful Tyler's okay because I have not seen a super modified crash that big in a long time.
Yeah, it was a stuck throttle on the 98 car for young Tyler Thompson, and he went over the fence. He parked it, and thankfully he landed where he did, dangerously close to the staging area. But that was, I mean, it launched like a rocket when it hit the fence, and it's just. I think I love Flamborough, but I think they need a little bit of a higher and more sturdy catch fence above their main wall in order to run something like a super modified. But it was a fantastic race, and everybody had a great time. I don't want to say that I don't think they should go back, but you know, I hope they will, honestly. But Yeah, congratulations to Trent Stevens. He seems to like Canada. He wins quite a bit over there and gets the ISMA MSS Super Modified season off to a great start again. Oswego coming up on the 30th of May. And, that will be another great show. And Trent's won at Oswego in the ISMA Tour as well. So could be an interesting start for the Ohio racer in 2026 if he can bag that one at the end of the month.
Last but certainly not least, our America's Racer of the Week honor goes to Logan Rumsey, who is a former World of Outlaws iRacing champion who turned that into some real-life opportunities and won his first ever 410 sprint car feature last weekend at Williams Grove, of all places. That half mile is not easy. Any veteran driver will tell you that. That is a statement for him. He's still a teenager and went out and spanked a really strong Grove field. I think this is the first of many. We saw him at Lincoln with the Outlaws, Tom, run top 6 after starting from the front row. I think you're going to be hearing the name Logan Rumsey for a long time to come, don't you?
I do, and that was a really, really cool accomplishment to be able to do that. Not easy to go from sim to seat in anything, but certainly not in a sprint car. But he proves once again that there is great validity to the sim if you use it properly. What you're missing, of course, is the physical feel, but the mental part of it and, how to drive the tracks and so forth and drive the car is the same. So, yeah, that was great.
All right. I'm waving a white flag, which means when we come back, it's our last lap segment. We got a couple more bullets to get to before this show is out of here. Stay tuned. I drive the boat and turn the throttle over to Tom when we come back.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
MillerTech builds lithium batteries for RVs, golf carts, boats, and off-grid life. Reliable power, long lifespan, and a 10-year warranty. That's why I trust MillerTech. MillerTech, powering your adventure.
Welcome back to the show as we jump into our last lap segment, and we're going to have some fun with this. Jacob, what you got in store for me this week?
I got more Mighty Modifieds. That's what I've got. It's 2 weeks.
Mod
2
Squad.
weeks in a row. Two weeks in a row. We start the last lap with the Mod Squad, and I have another Sealman stat for you. A driver won for the first time in 1,387 days. That would be John McKennedy, who went to victory lane on the Mod Tour, the NASCAR Tour at Seekonk Speedway. I wonder who finished second. It couldn't possibly be the guy that won the 2 races prior in Stephen Kopsick, could it? Wait, it was, Tom. Are we taking him seriously yet?
Well, of course. I mean, you got to take him seriously, and I took him seriously when you asked me if I thought he'd win his 3rd in a row. It's just hard to do a triple in the Mod Tour, so I said no, and I was right. He finished second, and yeah, he's definitely a credible threat for the title this year for sure, and good for him.
Are you surprised it was McKennedy that beat him?
No, especially not at that track. John likes that track, and John can win in anything you sit him in. That never surprises me when he wins a race.
This show always has fun when we shout out to New Yorkers. I'm shouting out to a New Yorker, Tim McCready. T-Mac won with the World of Outlaws late models at Sealands Grove Speedway, not in New York, in Pennsylvania, and reminded us all, okay, yes, he started in the big block modifieds, but he's still really good in a late model too when you give him the right stuff.
Well, again, there's a guy that can drive anything with four wheels and a motor. But you're right; he can win in just about anything, and it's no surprise again that he wins a World of Outlaw Late Model Series race. But always happy for T-Mac because the McCreadys are one of the first families, if you will, of New York racing on the dirt, and his father Barefoot Bob was a legend, and he is too.
All right. Final topic here tonight, and this is the fun one since this show being taped just ahead of Memorial Day weekend for the racing set. Tom, name your favorite Memorial Day weekend racing memory and why.
Oh gosh, we don't have enough time for this, but I'll try to be short with it. So in 1982. At that time, the Indy 500 was live on radio. It was not live on TV yet. It was tape delayed on ABC. The Oswego Speedway was where I was on the Sunday of Memorial Weekend, and listening over the PA to the radio broadcast of the Indy 500, Gordon John Cock and I think Rick Mears, I should have looked this up. I think it was John Cock and Mears were fighting it out to see who would win the race. It came down to the last few laps. The Speedway actually held up the start of the super modified portion of the Port City 150 so that we could hear the end of the race on the radio because Gordon John Cock started his career in super modifieds in the 60s and was one of Oswego Speedway's big names for a few years. And so we got to sit in the grandstand at Oswego and hear the call of Gordon John Cock winning the race. And as soon as he won, the entire grandstand applauded. It was just like we were there. It was great. And then we got to see the super modified race. But that will be forever etched in my brain because one of our local heroes, super modified heroes, got his second and last Indy 500 victory that year.
So it's funny because my most memorable Memorial Day weekend racing moment is an Indy 500 as well. For me, this is the Indy 500 that just sticks in my brain forever. And it was the Indy 500 in 2013 where Hildebrand crashed off turn 4 coming to the line. And Dan Weldon passes him in the last 200 yards to win the race. Because for the last 2 or 3 laps, I kept sitting there saying to myself, JR's finally going to win this stupid race after finishing second 2 or 3 years in a row before that. And it doesn't happen again. But I loved it too because it was Dan, and you couldn't not like Dan. I was a Dan Weldon fan growing up because he was just this relatable, down-to-earth, seemed like a great, great guy when you got him on television or got him talking in an interview. And, he just humanized racing for me as a kid and a teenager growing up. So, no, that second 500 that Weldon won before his passing for me is always going to be my favorite because it was one of those where I just sat there and went, okay, yeah, the good guy won today. Not that J.R. Hildebrand isn't also a good guy, but one for the good guys.
You can attach to that who could have known.
Who could have known.
Right.
For sure.
I mean, that was, who would have known it looking back on it now. That was really, it's almost, it makes you sad in a way to think about it, but, sometimes God works in strange ways, and
yes, for sure.
Him being able to win that 500 certainly was amazing. And he's got kids that are following in his footsteps, and they're going to be good racers.
Sebastian and Oliver.
That's going to wrap this show up. Hope you've enjoyed it. More great content can be found on our website, steeringwheelnation.com. Or you can go to Facebook, X, or Instagram. Follow us at SWN Media. And until next time, for Jacob Seelman and all the folks from POWERTube TV. More great programming. Check out the guide and watch it. I'm Tom Baker. Thanks for watching. So long.